Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we are kicking off my 2023 Best of series, and we are starting with skincare. I'm going to walk you through my favorite products of the year for both my morning and evening routine and share with you the skincare routine that has served me well throughout the year. So without further hesitation, let's get into the skincare products of 2023. I like to build skincare routines like I would build a facial routine for a client. That always starts with the cleanse. My cleanse does change morning to morning depending on what I'm doing. On most mornings, if I'm just going to kind of wake up, go down to my desk, or maybe go for a walk, I like to keep it pretty simple because I'm more than likely going to do a proper cleanse later on in the morning hours. This is the SkinSmart Antimicrobial Eczema Therapy Spray. This is a hypochlorous acid spray. Over the past year, really leading into the early days of 2020, a lot of people were using hypochlorous acid as a disinfectant for like household surfaces, but hypochlorous acid can also be used on the skin. It's been used a lot in ophthalmology for cleaning around the eyes. This one does say eczema therapy, but it can be used for anyone with skin. SkinSmart has several different varieties. Normally the ingredients are pretty much the same. Sometimes the nozzle sprays. I like just this basic nozzle that I can mist on my skin. I let it dry on, I apply a moisturizer or sunscreen depending on what my day is looking like, and then that is it for that part of the routine. Traditional morning cleanse or first step skin cleanse. I like to focus on using a cleanser that is going to remove any sebum or oil off my skin and just prep it for the rest of my morning skincare routine. Keep it pretty simple. Most mornings I like to use an active cleanser, meaning a cleanser with some type of active ingredient. Normally for me that active ingredient is chemical exfoliant, and I personally gravitate towards a BHA or a salicylic acid because it's oil soluble. Cut through the oily, greasy layer on the skin, get down and work inside the pore to help clear things out over time, which can be great for people who have acne or congestion. I tend to get quite congested around my nose and my mouth. I like to apply my cleanser and leave it on like a face mask, normally while I brush my teeth, floss, all that stuff, because that's normally about 5 minutes right there. And then once I get in the shower, I can just rinse it off and proceed with the rest of my shower routine. The cleanser I really love is the CeraVe Acne Control Cleanser. This does have a 2% salicylic acid. I like this one because I find the formula to be a little bit more gentle and it's fragrance free. With my skin prone to becoming quite sensitive or sensitized, I like to keep my overall variables for things that could cause my skin to react very low. So I tend to look for products free of fragrance or common irritants like some essential oils, which they're not a no-no for everyone, but for me, I like to avoid where I can. In the morning, if I'm going to be using something more active on my skin, I'll use a basic cleanser. And this is also the cleanser I use as my second step cleanse in the evening. And my favorite, tried and true, is my Roche-Posay Toleriane cleanser. You can see we are down here at the very bottom. I do have a backup, and this year it's been my go-to. If you've been following along with my channel since it began in January of 2021, this has been my tried and true cleanser that I love. It's simple, it's effective. For a drugstore price point or a high street price point, the Roche-Posay can be a little bit more expensive than something like Olay. Up front, the price point is lower than this, but if you look at how much product you're getting about half the amount, where the Roche-Posay is 400 ml of product. And this is around $20. So this is just the most economical cleanser that I like to use, and it's very gentle on my skin. It's not overly harsh. It's not going to strip away the skin. It's going to keep the skin feeling nice and refreshed. This is not the best for removing stubborn makeup, so that's why I like to use something like a micellar water or an oil-based first step cleanser to get the heavy duty bit off, and this is just used to cleanse and refresh my skin and prep it for the rest of the routine. Speaking of the first step cleanse is something I only do in the evening, and this is to remove sunscreen, makeup, or both. And my first cleanse of choice is always going to be an oil cleanser. My favorite oil cleanser is from the brand Kose. Normally you would purchase the Speedy cleansing oil in a pink bottle with a blue pump. I was in a store here in Toronto called Koki, and it's a newer kind of Asian beauty store focusing on some Chinese, Korean, and Japanese beauty. And Kose is a Japanese beauty brand, and this is called the Speedy cleansing oil. I purchased this one because I had the cute little sleeping Pikachu. I found it so cute, so why not? And you can buy refills for Kose online, and they're quite affordable. This is just a really easy first step cleanser. I can pump it on my hand, emulsify it, apply it on dry skin, work it in, massage around the eyes, and then when it comes in contact with water, water, it emulsifies into more of a milky consistency, and then I'm ready to follow up with my skin cleanse, which is going to be the Roche-Posay Toleriane. I do like the feeling of a balm or solid oil cleanser, that one that you kind of come in a little pot and scrape out and then warm into an oil. I just find something that's already in the liquid form easier, and over the past year I've realized I value a straightforward, simple routine, because the more straightforward and more simple it is, the more likely I am to be consistent with all the different steps I want to include in my routine. For days where maybe I've recorded a YouTube video and I've done a lot of work with eyeliner, waterline, or tight line eyeliner, then I will use a micellar water. I love the classic Bioderma Sensibio. I can use this on a cotton bud to remove any traces of makeup, and this is something that I mostly use for just removing excess eye makeup or removing swatches from products on my hand. So this I will use in a pinch on my skin as like a cleanser, but normally I prefer the oil because I find like it just gets things off a little bit more effectively. But if you're someone who loves the ease of micellar water, then I cannot suggest the Bioderma Sensibio enough. It's such a beautiful classic product. After I cleanse my skin, now I like to start adding back moisture to my skin. When you cleanse and expose your skin to water, a process called transepidermal water loss that's happening, which is where water on your skin is going to evaporate, and when it evaporates, it can take some of this moisture from within the skin out. So I like to halt that in its tracks, and for me, I like to start with a hydrating essence or toner. You can kind of use the terms interchangeably. Currently, I'm using one from Isntree. This is the Green Tea Fresh Toner. I just apply a few little drops to my hand. It's very watery. I just like to work it and then pat it into my skin. Over the year, I have used a few different ones. This is my second bottle of the Isntree this year. My other favorite one, I want to treat myself and spend a little bit more. I love the Neogen Real Ferment Micro Essence. That's around $50, which isn't crazy compared to some of the products we hear on the Western beauty market, but for K-beauty, it is a little bit steeper of a price point. I do enjoy it. I love treating myself to that product, but day to day, since I go through an essence fairly quickly because I like to apply multiple layers, I have done my skincare routine earlier because now it's later in the day and I'm recording this video. I am only going to apply one layer, but normally in my morning routine, I would apply about 3 layers. So a few little drops in my hand, apply it to my skin 3 times before I move on to my next step. In the evening, I'll do anywhere from 3 to the full 7 skin method, which was really trendy a few years ago, but that's great for just adding some extra moisture to the skin. When your skin is properly moisturized and hydrated, it helps to keep your skin's moisture barrier intact, which keeps all the basic functions of the skin just moving a little bit more slowly, and that can help to minimize any signs of being sensitive or sensitized. So keep it simple, keep it easy, and I like this Green Tea Fresh Toner from Isntree because green tea is high in polyphenols. Polyphenols are antioxidants. Antioxidants help to mitigate some of the effects of oxidative stress, which comes from the environment, pollution, and all different things. If I can get as many antioxidants in my skin routine, that makes me happy, and polyphenols from green tea is a great one. And I believe here in Canada, this is around $19 or $20, so it's a good price point for the quality of the product that you're getting. The next step in my skincare routine is going to be a treatment step, and a treatment step is by way of a serum, which has some more concentrated ingredients to help meet a concern I have with my skin. Over the past year, I've been going through my own like little wellness journey, taking care of the inside so the outside can look its best and so I can feel my best. I've noticed for me, it's really helped to pinpoint what it is with my skin that I don't like or what I would like to improve on. I do have rosacea, and right now it's better than it has been most of the year because this skincare routine has been very simple. It's been very effective, keeping the overall health of my skin as the main priority, keeping that more of a focus than treatment of hyperpigmentation, premature signs of aging, any of that. Keeping just the main goal to keep my skin healthy has helped my skin to look better overall than throwing all the different active ingredients to try to treat this problem, that problem, and future problem. Everyone's skin's different. That's why I like to treat as like an overall structure, building like a pyramid routine, starting with my basics and working my way up. So when looking at my skin, my main concern is just keeping it healthy. That is what this entire routine is about, just keeping my skin moisturized, keeping my barrier intact, and feeding it the good stuff to keep it just feeling healthy and fresh. That way it gives me fewer things to worry about on a day-to-day basis. And then looking at my skin, my next big concern is going to be working on some of my hyperpigmentation from where I didn't use proper sun protection infection when I was younger, and I exposed myself to things like tanning beds or outdoor tanning, which caused UV damage. So I like to mitigate that, and my favorite thing to use is some sort of antioxidant, because antioxidants can help to reduce those oxidative stressors that exposed my skin to throughout the years. In previous years, my favorite antioxidant source was vitamin C, but I noticed last year when I started using a new retinoid, the vitamin C was causing my skin to sting, and I've noticed some stinging in the past on and off. I never really pinpointed it towards the vitamin C. It's not happening with any sort of consistency or regularity in my routine. It would happen sometimes it wouldn't. When I started using my retinoid more regularly at the end of last year, the vitamin C, every time I used it, my skin would sting. So then I finished up using my vitamin C on my body skin, and I switched my morning antioxidant to a copper peptide serum. This is a product I purchased based on the recommendation of Abby Young. She is one of my favorite YouTube content creators, and she's really helped me with my overall hair care routine, and she introduced me to some new skincare products in her videos this year that I've really enjoyed. So the Ordinary Multi-Peptide plus Copper Peptides 1% serum used to be called the Buffet plus Copper Peptide serum. Copper peptides gained traction for this really interesting blue color. Copper peptides, they offer a lot of similar benefits to what you would get from a vitamin C. So meaning they can also help with signs of irritation, signs of redness, and they just generally help to soothe the skin. First purchased the Ordinary's Copper Peptide Serum last November when I was at Ulta in the US, and then since then I have purchased 3 other bottles, so that means this is my 4th bottle, and I really enjoy it. I've not experienced any type of sensitivity in my skin. I like to get another little antioxidant boost to my skincare routine, and this is a product I have been using since about 2016, 2017, and I purchased this originally on recommendation of Angie from Hot and Flashy. This is the Timeless Coenzyme Q10 Serum. Coenzyme Q10 is also known as ubiquinone. This is another great antioxidant, and you do need to shake this, and when it dispenses, it will have this slightly melted butter yellow color, and this is great for, again, helping to add some extra moisture to the skin. It's safe and easy to use right over your eyelids, over the lips, on your neck, and on your chest. And also, if you notice, yes, I'm wearing my pajama top for this video, because when I think about skincare, I always think about those like little Vogue or Harper Bazaar videos where it's the celebrities getting ready, and they always have these like really pretty pajamas on. So I'm like, oh, I've got fun pajamas. Let's wear them for this video. The ubiquinone or coenzyme Q10 in this serum, there's skin a little boost of antioxidant support. It's gonna help lead to firmness, brightness, and plumpness of the skin. And the vehicle that this is in, it's very hydrating, very nourishing. So I love this, and adding antioxidants to your skincare routine can help to boost the overall efficacy and protection of your sunscreen. So I like to help my sunscreen get the maximum benefit for my time and the money I spend on my product. That is what I use. At evening, instead of using my coenzyme Q10 serum, I will use the Timeless Matrixyl 3000 serum, and this is another great antioxidant serum. This one is a clear serum, and I only use this at night. I will mention, in the evening, I do not use my copper peptide serum because I either use an exfoliating acid or retinoid, and I don't like to mix the two together because some studies say that they can interfere with each other. So I just like to keep my skin routine simple and minimize risk of irritation or of unwanted side effects, just to keep my skin happy and feeling good. The next step in my skincare routine, I like to apply a calming serum. This is from the brand It's Skin. This is the Power 10 Formula L.I. Effector Firefighter 10, and this is a licorice root extract serum, and I originally purchased this on recommendation of Dr. Dre, and this contains licorice root. Licorice root is a great ingredient that helps to soothe and calm redness, and it helps to brighten the skin tone. Just something about applying that It's Skin serum, it just immediately makes my skin feel a little bit more soothed, a little bit more comforted. I'm on my last bottle of this. Back in January, I ordered 4 of these off of Olive Young's website. I went ahead and stocked up for the entire year, and I was able to get a bundle discount, which is a great bonus. I've heard whispers that they have reformulated and it now has a fragrance in it. Next time I order, I'm only going to buy one and see how it reacts. It's like I said earlier, my skin doesn't always respond well to fragrance. If this has a very strong fragrance, then I probably will have to discontinue using my routine, but if it's similar to this one and I don't notice the fragrance or it doesn't irritate my skin, I will continue to use this. I have loved this, and I have really appreciated the more calming and soothing effects it's had for my skin, as I feel less ruddy than I have in years past. fast. The next step in my skincare routine is going to be the active ingredient to treat a concern with my skin. So in the daytime, I use the same one every single day, and that is a azelaic acid serum. Azelaic acid, more commonly used for years for treatment of rosacea, as it's a dicarbolic acid which can help to reduce the inflammation and reduce some of the flares that people with rosacea can experience. Now it's become a little bit more popular and you can find them more easily over the counter. Here in Canada, one of the easiest ones to get your hand on is going to be the Inky List Super Solutions Plus 10% azelaic acid serum. And this is a really nice, lightweight, almost like a jelly cream consistency. To make sure I'm not using too much, I always like to use fingertip to first knuckle length. That's a trick I picked up from watching Dr. Sam's videos. And I just dot over. That way I'm making sure I'm getting an even coat all across my skin. And the azelaic acid is to help keep my rosacea flares in check and just help mitigate some of that redness. In the case of rosacea treatment, normally a prescription strength azelaic acid would either be 15 to 20%. You'll normally find that under the name of something like Finacea, which is the rosacea treatment gel. I really enjoy this. If I don't go back on the prescription strength, I will continue using this one. I really, really love it. Now, in my evening routine, I do not use the azelaic acid. You can if that's the only active you're using, but I like to keep it exclusive to one active ingredient at night. And in the evening, I rotate between two. First one I use is one I've used for quite a while. This is the Ordinary Lactic Acid 5% plus HA or hyaluronic acid. Lactic acid is an exfoliating acid. This is an alpha hydroxy acid. Alpha hydroxy acids are almost like a sister to beta hydroxy acids, which was in my morning cleanser. Beta hydroxy acids are oil soluble, meaning they cut through the oily layer on the skin and work inside the pore. That's great for helping with things like congestion and blockages in the skin. Alpha hydroxy acids, which are what some common ones you would see, are lactic acid and glycolic acid. These are water soluble, meaning they stay on the surface of the skin, and this is great for helping with texture irregularities, and this is also great for breaking up some hyperpigmentation on the skin. This is the more gentle. There is also a 10% option, but with my skin being quite sensitive, I stick with the 5%, and I use this about twice a week. And then 3 nights a week, I like to use my Retinoid. Retinoids is the family name for a product derived from vitamin A, which is retinoic acid. I use a prescription tretinoin cream, and the percentage I use is 0.025%, and this is in the cream vehicle. This is going to be one of the weakest strength, if not the weakest strength that you can get. And even though it's weaker, the effects with using a retinoid, whether you're using a prescription strength or you're using something over the counter like a adapalene, retinaldehyde, retinol, or retinal. So there's a retinol with an OL and an AL, which are your two common ones you'll see most often over the counter. They need to go through a conversion, so they're going to be a little bit more gentle. Your prescription strength tretinoin or triferritin gels, those are going to be the pure retinoic acid. Some people do experience something called retinization. For me, I apply this at the very end of my skincare routine. There's almost like a buffer layer on my skin, and I have spoke about using a retinoid in all of my other skincare routines since well before I began YouTube in 2021. This has been a staple in my skincare routine since about 2015 or 2016. And then back in December, I tried a new retinoid that I got when I was in the US, and it just did not agree with my skin, and it kind of set off a chain reaction of just really sensitive, angry skin. And then I had to strip that out. I gave my skin about a full 8 weeks just to kind of reset, and my skincare routine was only cleanse, moisturize, sunscreen. Very cut and dry, very simple, so my barrier could get back into action and heal and just function more properly. Then I started using my retinoid again, and I started with 1 night a week, and I applied this after my moisturizer had fully dried, and then I applied my barrier balm, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And then after about 12 weeks, I moved up to twice a week, and then after another 12 weeks, I moved up to 3 times a week. And I have experimented with going 4 times a week. It just makes my skin feel a little too sensitive. Ideally, you want to use your retinoid 3 to 5 nights a week. For me, my skin being sensitive, having my rosacea that flares easily, I found for me right now, 3 nights a week is the sweet spot, and it helps to give my skin the benefits of a retinoid, which can help with fine lines, boosting collagen, and it just helps to make everything look and function a little bit better. But you have to find a way that works for you, and sometimes you have to buffer. Sometimes I still buffer and sandwich my retinoid if my skin's feeling extra irritated. Now, if my skin does feel very sensitive or sensitized and it's a night I'm supposed to be using a retinoid, I will skip it and check back in with my skin later at a later point, just to make sure I'm not gonna do anything that will compromise the overall integrity of my skin. Up next will be my moisturizer stage. For a big portion of the year, the only moisturizer I used was my tried and true CeraVe PM facial moisturizing lotion. I will put a picture in right here. I have used that since well before my YouTube channel started. It was recommended to me back in like 2014 by a dermatologist, and I've loved it ever since then. But I do like to try something new here and there because I've been using the same moisturizer for almost 10 years, and I just wanted to try something new. When my skin felt super irritated, and I think this was back in the spring, I purchased the Tower 28 SOS Save Our Skin Daily Barrier Recovery Cream. This is a thick and occlusive cream. I'm going to demonstrate this on my neck because it is a very thick, very rich cream. It is so soothing. It is so comforting. It looks like this. It's very, very thick. And this is almost going to act like a diaper rash cream without that thick consistency. It's just very soothing, very calming to the skin. And I will mostly use this in the evening when my skin feels sensitive. Even during the day, if I shave or something, because right there here, my skin can feel very, very sensitive and a little irritated after I shave. I will apply this to my neck and then my other moisturizer to my face before I apply my sunscreen. And it's really nice. I've heard some people complain that this is just a very boring moisturizer, but that's okay. It's okay to have a boring moisturizer, or moisturizer in my eyes is really something just to put an occlusive layer onto the skin that's going to keep all the hydration and moisture in your skin. I like to think about moisturizer as like the snack to your skincare routine. Your serums, your active ingredients, those are going to be the products that are kind of like your entree. Your moisturizer is it's going on the very top. Your skin's pretty much already full. This is just going to help fill in any little snacks, satiate any little snacky tendencies your skin might feel. And it's just mostly there to create a protective barrier on the skin. So this is great for when my skin feels irritated, as it's like more thick, occlusive consistency and bland formula. Just help to soothe and hydrate and nourish my skin. Moisturizer I'm using most of the time, that I'm using currently in place of the CeraVe PM facial moisturizing lotion, is the Purito Dermide Relief Barrier Moisturizer with ceramides. I purchased this on recommendation from Dr. Sam Ellis. She is a California-based dermatologist, and I really enjoy watching her YouTube videos. But she had recommended this in one of her videos, so if I'm not mistaken, I think it was her best of 2022 video, and she recommended this. I wanted to try it. I purchased it here in Toronto at, I think at SkinSmart, and it was around $20, and you do get quite a bit of product. You get 100 ml of product, which is quite good for a moisturizer at the it was either $20 or $25. So it's quite a typical upper drugstore to mid-range price point, because it's not going to be quite a prestige pricing that you would run into with Sephora moisturizer, that would range normally anywhere from $30 to $60+. And I will say this is nice. It's very hydrating. It's very soothing. For me though, it reminds me more of the CeraVe moisturizing lotion that comes in the pump bottle. I like something, I don't know. I like that this has ceramides, but the CeraVe PM moisturizing lotion has the inclusion of niacinamide, which my skin gets along with very well. If you're someone who doesn't get along with niacinamide, then I would say try this. But if you want a great affordable moisturizer around the $15 price point here in Canada, I love the CeraVe, and once this is finished, I will go back to it. But this will be in my mind in case, I ever want to go back to it, because it is a nice one. And the last step in my skincare routine changes whether it's a morning routine or an evening routine. Since it's my morning routine, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite sunscreens I use. And this year, my sunscreens can be broken down into two different groups. The first one, which I'm going to use today, is going to be a chemical sunscreen, and my favorite one that I reach for, just because it's easy, it does well with makeup, and it's easy to reapply. It never feels heavy, it never feels greasy. This is the Can Make Mermaid Skin UV Gel. This is an SPF 50 plus with a PA rating of 4 plus. This is a Japanese sunscreen, so it does use some filters that are not currently approved in North America, but you can get your hands on this pretty easily through someone like Stylovana or Yes Style. I love this. It's easy, it's clear. Real quick before I apply this, I need to take my wedding ring off, because I am not someone who can apply things on my face with jewelry on, and applying my moisturizer, which is kind of Is anyone else like that? Does anyone else just have an aversion to applying skincare with jewelry on? It gives me the icks. So I always like to make sure my rings are off. But for sunscreen, I normally apply the 3-finger rule, and this is technically enough if you're following that 1/4 teaspoon rule. The 3-finger tip is normally enough. I like to be on the cautious side, so I'll normally do 3-finger tip application twice, and this does cover my neck and my chest. And I really love the sunscreen because it does go over my eyes very well. It doesn't cause any stinging, but it works. It's just a very, very nice sunscreen. And then normally while I let this dry down, and I'll go ahead and apply my first layer to my ears. And if this was a normal daytime routine, I would go ahead and do my ears and apply my second layer of this. But as of right now, it is 6:04 p.m. So the sun's already down, and I'm just applying this for demonstrative purposes, but normally I would apply a second layer. It doesn't look any different. It's really nice. Another easy everyday sunscreen I've used, and I went through 3 bottles of this year, was the Beauty of Joseon Sun Relief Plus Rice Probiotic. I'll put a picture on the screen. It's popular all over TikTok. It functions very similarly to the can make. Big difference is this is a Japanese sunscreen, Beauty of Joseon's Korean sunscreen. I would use either one, and I find them pretty interchangeable. I think I favor the can make because this is normally around the $10 price point, where the Beauty of Joseon is around $15. So since this is slightly more affordable, I tend to reach for this slightly more often. And the other type of sunscreen I use is a purely mineral, which is also known as a physical sunscreen or an inorganic sunscreen. And this is normally derived of either zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. Any of your other sun filters fall into the category called a chemical sunscreen, which is what the can make or Beauty of Joseon is going to be. The mineral sunscreens do have a tendency for leaving a white cast. These form a physical barrier on the skin. My favorite has been the Dr. G Green Mild Up Sun Plus. This is an SPF 50 plus with a PA rating of 4+. I love this one for when my skin feels slightly more irritated, or if I'm gonna be outside all day and I want to make sure I've got a nice real protective layer on my skin, I will use this. This does leave a slight white cast. It does dry down after about 15 minutes. It kind of dissipates into my skin. If you're darker than I am, you might notice that cast lingers a little bit longer. But for me, if I apply my 2 layers of this all over, let it sit down, and then I follow up with my other favorite thing to do, which is use a tinted sunscreen. So where something like this can leave a little bit of a white cast, this is the Color Science Sunforgettable Total Protection Face Shield Classic. This is an SPF 50 with a PA rating of 4+. Also a mineral or physical sunscreen, and it's tinted, meaning it has the inclusion of iron oxides to give it a little bit color. And this one I'm gonna show you on the back of my hand because it's just really lovely. It has a little bit of color, so as you blend, it just melts into the skin. The most difficult thing with using a tinted sunscreen is finding one that works for you. For me, most of the Color Science works really well in the depths of winter weather, like normally January, February. This is a little dark, and when those times, I like to use the Dr. Sam's Flawless Gossamer Tint in shade 01. I forgot to bring that in here with me, but I have it in my washroom. I'll put a picture of it here on the screen. It's a really good one, but this is just nice and easy. My only complaint with this is it's expensive. I believe here in Canada, this is around 70 or 75 Canadian dollars, which is so expensive. I do not apply full 3-finger width in the mouth. Since I get the bulk of my sun protection from this, I use just enough of this to offset the white cast, and then I'll normally apply like a Bare Minerals powder foundation, which has a little bit of a SPF in it as well. That way, this is gonna offset any white cast, and I'm not actually having to put on like a traditional foundation. This is nice though. This lasts me for about 6 months using it every single day over top of something like this. So I feel like I can justify that price a little bit more easily, especially because when I use this, I don't need to use a powder foundation if I don't want to. During the summer, I normally forego foundation. I'll apply this, and then at most I'll use a little bit of a mineral powder over top just to blot back any shine where I don't want it. And then if this is my evening routine, I finish off with a barrier balm. I love a barrier balm because this is going to act like a supercharged moisturizer. It's going to be a much thicker, more occlusive layer on the skin. Normally they will have something like zinc oxide, which is going to be a soothing ingredient. Zinc oxide is, yes, found in sunscreens, but it's also normally the active ingredient you find in things like diaper rash cream. So if it's good enough to soothe an angry baby bottom, it's good enough to soothe any irritation on the skin, and I love them so much. My barrier cream of choice is the Avène Sickle Fate Plus Restorative Protective Cream. I go through about 4 of these a year, so normally 1 a season, and I love this so much. I don't get along well with slugging because I find slugging with something like a petrolatum based product is a little too heavy for my skin, and with rosacea, your skin can be more prone to overheating. So this is a little bit thinner. I spread this thinly over my skin. I don't use this every single night. I mostly use this on nights when I use my retinoid, because this will kind of help to offset some of the effects of a retinoid. So the way that routine will work is I'll apply my moisturizer, let my moisturizer dry down, apply my retinoid, let this dry down for about 2 hours, and then right before I go to bed, I apply this a thin layer all over my face, a little bit extra right around the corners of my eyes, corner of my nose, corner of my lips, because those are kind of hot spots where retinoids or just products can pull because they tend to be lower points of the face. So I'll apply a little bit extra to those areas and then go to bed, and I wake up and my skin feels happy and soothed. Every now and then, if my skin feels extra parched, or I'm gonna be outside on a cold, windy day when you're prone to getting things like windburn, or if I just want to put a good lip balm on, and the lip balm I used most nights, this is the CeraVe Baby Healing Ointment. So this is a petrolatum based product. It's very similar to Vaseline, but since this is CeraVe, this does have the inclusion of ceramides. And in the US, you can also get just a regular healing ointment, which comes in a dark blue bottle. For some reason, we don't have that one here in Canada, so I just buy the baby version, and I can't appreciate any differences between the two. This is just affordable and it lasts forever. This tube normally lasts me about 2 years. I purchased this one back in the beginning of summer, and on here it says it expires May of 2025. So hopefully by 2025 I will finish this, but you need such a small amount. It lasts for ages, and it's also really great on dry elbows, dry heels, or around dry cuticles. Phenomenal multi-use product. That is my kind of skincare routine and the products that I've just fallen in love with throughout the course of 2023 there, and they will continue to be in my skincare routine going into 2024. If you are not new to my channel, you will probably recognize most of these products from the very beginning of my channel, and I like a good consistent routine, because the more consistent I am with my skincare routine, the more consistent the product selection is, the more easily I can monitor and appreciate the subtle changes day to day, because most of your skincare active ingredients, whether it's a vitamin C, a retinoid, an exfoliating acid, you'll get the best results with consistent and long-term use. And another thing a lot of people don't point out is you will sometimes see those little first signs of improvements around the 4 to 6 week mark, normally through a full skin cycle, which is going to be about 4 to 6 weeks. However, a lot of your big improvements, like a noticeable reduction in hyperpigmentation, something like a fine line starting to get plumped up a little bit more other than the superficial plumping that comes from just a moisturizer, that normally can take about 9 to 12 months. So if you stick with a product all the way through a full year and you take pictures so you can see your before versus the end of the year, it makes things just a little bit easier to monitor. And also, if you keep your routine concise, you keep it consistent, it makes it easier to budget for in your monthly finances, because skincare is something that can get very expensive if you're trying a ton of products. Skincare is something that, that was what a lot of companies were sending me in PR, and I've since removed myself from a lot of those PR lists because I can't handle using all these different products because it causes my rosacea to flare, and I don't want to be a skincare content creator because I just can't test products out without setting my skin off. So I'd rather use the same products day in, day out, talk about them every now and then, and talk and focus more on makeup, which is the other big love of my life. So I hope you enjoyed this. I would love to know some of your favorite skincare products that you've loved throughout the past year or longer in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more beauty related fun. Until the next video, where we're going to talk about my favorite makeup throughout 2023, take care of yourself, and I will see you later. Bye, y'all.